Namaskar, and welcome to this edition of The Good Grapevine. This is Lawrence reporting from the Cotswolds village far outside of London, here in the pastoral landscape where the cows are listening, and you also will be listening. Up in this edition, we'll have stories from Vietnam, Malaysia, United States, and Palestine. Let's get started. This is Lawrence, your anchor for the very first pilot edition of The Good Grapevine, all the news that's fit to share. I don't know if you think love is an emotion, but I do. More than just looking at love as an emotion, love can also be a decision. And making that very poignant, coming to life story from Malaysia, Kuala Lumpur, reporting is our correspondent for The Good Grapevine, Noel, President and CEO and originator of the Daily Muscle Bootcamp.
Hi, this is Noel from Malaysia, and today I'm here with Kimberly, and the story that we're about to share is an inspirational story. So Kim, can you just tell us basically what happened to you last year back in 2015?
I was training on the bike with a group of people. On the way home, I met in an accident, and the car hit me from behind, and it kind of left me lying on the road with a pool of blood. Everyone was trying to find out who I was, and that changed my life. Being a very active person and had someone take that away from you, I had to lie in the hospital bed for a month. I was in ICU for 7 days, and being in a cast. And also, I think the lowest point for me was when my dad showed me a mirror and I had to look at what my face looked like.
So you had a scar?
Yeah, I had a very bad scar, and I think you can still see it right now. It's just there all the way to the corner of my eyes.
So coming out of this awful experience from the hospital, what were some of the accomplishments that you had that you never thought you'd be able to do?
I had to get myself fit. I had to climb the Danube Tower of Vienna, and that was I think the highlight of coming out from the accident and coming out tops in a trail run. That actually was a very big accomplishment for someone who thought that she would never walk again.
What do you think this whole experience, this whole accident, doesn't sound like a good thing, but what do you think came out of this, and what is one or two things that you want to share with the others?
I also help people to stay active in their daily life, and so that they could lead a healthier and a happier life.
Okay, anything else? You got married or something?
Oh yeah. And yes, I did get married to my husband, and we are working together to make everyone's life better.
This is Noel from Daily Muscle reporting for The Good Grapevine, and we'll see you again.
Thank you, Noel, for that inspirational story that really shows how more than an emotion, love can also be a decision. Whenever I am privileged enough to be in Noel and his wife Kim company and I tell that story, none of us ever remains with a dry eye. Up next, from a very inspirational part of the world, England, comes a non-predictable story about borders and frontiers and people, more important than passports or preconceived stereotypes. From an ophthalmologist, let's listen to a story that is pretty inspirational and surprising. This is Lawrence with a story that is very inspirational, not about countries, but about the human heart. This is my friend here in Ealing, and his name is Jamal. And Jamal was telling me a story about, as a Palestine, something he did many, many years ago involving glasses, eyes, and sight. Can you tell us that story?
Yeah. When I was a student and just started work, I met this client who came from Haifa in Israel, and he wanted some glasses done there and then. And we told him, I'm sorry, cannot be done. He said, well, I'm traveling back to Haifa, and you know, I need the glasses today. And I said, look, we can't make it today, it's gonna take a few days. How about in a few months' time I'm going to travel back to visit my family who live in the West Bank in Palestine, and why don't I deliver the glasses to you? And he said, I don't believe that you would do that. I said, no, look, I promise you I'll deliver the glasses. And he said, fine, I'll pay for them, and I hope to see them in a few months' time. That was around January time, and in March I made a trip to visit my family, and my cousins, they live in Haifa, so I went to visit them for a week, taking the glasses with me, and I went knocking on his door, and I said, and he came down, answered the door, and he said, I can't believe this. He said, I thought I wrote it off. I'm never gonna see the glasses and I've lost all my money. And I said to him, well, here's the delivery for the glasses. Can you pay for the fare?
How wonderful. There it was, the Palestine bringing the Jew his glasses when he had lost all faith or really hoped that they would even show up.
It's true.
3 months later. That's an inspirational story. This is Lawrence coming to you for The Good Grapevine. One of the most invigorating and popular topics these days, coming from Asia and the West, is active aging. And as we start to study where just a few decades ago, people's life expectancy was 50, 60, 70 years old, now it's 70, 80, 90. We check in with Yuri Rocket's grandmother, reporting from Belarus, on the other side of the world, someone who meets those qualifications, who gives a little bit of insight and wisdom on what it takes to live longer than 50, 60, and 70. Let's have a listen.
Hi fitness friends, Yuri Rocket here, reporting from Belarus, in Eastern Europe, close to Russia and Poland, for Good Grapevine. And I'd like to share an inspirational story from my grandmom with you.
Баб, скажи нам, сколько тебе лет?
85.
Alright, she's saying she's 85-year-old. И ты жила во время войны?
Да,
И помнишь что-нибудь во время войны?
помню.
She was living during the World War II, and she remembers it very well. И сколько у тебя детей, баб?
У меня детей 5.
И правнуков? И внуков?
Правнуков 7, внуков 7, а правнуков 4.
She has 5 kids, and then she has about 7 grandkids, and then she has about 4 grandkids. И, баб, и что тебе помогает сохранять хорошее здоровье, по твоему мнению, как ты думаешь?
Ну, потому что вот встаю, за огородом занимаюсь, в лес хожу. И вот помогает мне это все моему здоровью.
So, and I asked her what helped her to stay healthy all these years, and she said that because she has a very large garden and very, like you can see that she has very huge garden that she takes care of herself, and she goes to the forest as well to pick some berries and mushrooms, so that keeps her active. И, баб, а что ты делаешь, когда у тебя, если здоровье свое поддерживать, что ты, допустим, кушаешь или принимаешь что-нибудь?
Большинство, если нет здоровья, собираю мяту, мелиссу, запарываю все и пью.
So, and I asked her, is there anything she does to support herself? And she said she picks some herbs from her garden. It's like mint and some other herbs, and then she would make like a herbal tea, and she drinks that to support herself. Спасибо.
And this is why I find my grandma very inspirational. Yuri Rocket reporting from Belarus for Good Grapevine.
Thank you, Yuri Rocket, for bringing us the inspiration from Belarus of the Belarusian grandmother with the wisdom of what it takes to live. From the land, with the land, on the land. In talking about people living longer, one of the huge issues that fitness professionals get asked all the time is motivation. how do we set goals and actually achieve them longer than the first 2 weeks of January, when it seems like most people, like now, are setting their New Year's resolutions? Well, we're going to check in with correspondent Steve Feinberg with an interview from Chicago about motivation from a truly meritorious philosophical position that actually is quite practical. Let's check in with Steve.
Hello Lawrence, hello world. This is Steve Feinberg reporting for the Good Grapevine. We're here in lovely downtown Illinois at the SCW Midwest, and I have a treat for you today. I'm with industry thought leader Jonathan Ross, and he's going to be talking to us about short-term success and making decisions that'll affect your end goals every day. Go ahead, Jonathan, please.
If you think of your long-term fitness goal, you probably think of it as this big challenge. And the easiest way to achieve your long-term goal is to forget all about your long-term goal and focus on tomorrow. Show up for tomorrow's workout. Make sure you eat a good meal tomorrow. Make the next behavior a good one. Don't worry about the long steps, because if you get too caught up in how far you have to go to achieve the big goal, it's going to be harder to engage in the behaviors that will help you achieve the bigger goal. So it really is all about chopping up a large goal into a series of small behaviors. And even more importantly, it is essential that you take those small behaviors and you make them things that you enjoy doing. If you hate exercising and you expect to do it every day, it's never going to become a lifelong habit. Habits can be good, habits can be bad. It's all about if what we're doing is supporting our efforts at health, or if it's drawing us farther away from health. And if something becomes a habit, it gets easier to do, takes less willpower, it's easier for you to just do it every day habitually. Now, if you love it, you'll do it every day. But most of you won't love exercise, but you don't have to love exercise. That's for people like Steve and me. We're the wackos that love exercise. All you have to do is at least get a crush on it. You don't have to fall in love with it, you just have to get a crush on it. Because if you are going towards something, if your behaviors are going in one direction, but your desires are moving in the opposite direction, that is a recipe for disaster, because you're trying to do one thing, but inside you want another thing. So I'm going to work out, but I would rather be home on the couch. Or I'm going to eat that healthy meal, but I would rather eat the chicken wings. That creates a lot of internal conflict, and it makes it harder to engage in the good behavior, and you don't enjoy it as much. So if you hate exercise, find a way to make it so that you don't. Find something you love to do. When you enjoy it, you'll do it more often. When you do it more often, you have better success today, and today's success leads to tomorrow's goal achievement. So you get your long-term goals when you just engage in the right behaviors, and you only engage in the right behaviors if you like what you're doing. So you can't hate it if you want to do it forever. So you don't have to love exercise, but you do have to get a crush on it.
I love that. I love get a crush on it, and again, thinking in a linear direction. Very often you hear about seeing the forest through the trees, and I think Jonathan's right. I think it's important sometimes to pay attention to the trees right in front of you, because they're coming at you fastest, right?
Absolutely, and maybe even look at a single piece of bark on that tree. Just get really into the smallest piece of detail that doesn't overwhelm you.
Thanks for taking the time. This is Steve Feinberg with Jonathan Ross for the Good Grapevine, and we'll see you very soon.
Thank you, Steve Feinberg, for bringing us that Good Grapevine story on motivation and what it takes to set a goal and really almost have a love affair with that goal. Just flirt a little bit. Great suggestions. Now, I bring us our first ever for the Good Grapevine word from our sponsor.
Speedball, speedball, speedball. Think, move, 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 think. Slingshot, right side, go. Beautiful. This is awesome. It's long arms, long spine.
Reaching forward.
Let me introduce you to the speedball. Our speedballs are slightly smaller than the medicine balls on the market today, so it's much easier to hold. It also has a non-slip grip, it's textured, and it's squeezable. And when you move the ball, there's reactivity inside. Our speedball pellets redirect, ricochet, and react off of each other so that there's more plyometric reactivity, more micro-contractions for each muscle, and it enhances the workout and challenges you in new and different ways. We hope to see a speedball in your hands very soon.
Thank you from our sponsor, and thank you for listening to a word from our sponsor, because it's our sponsors that keep the Good Grapevine going for now. Next up, a story on changing traditions around the world that in a very remote part of Italy, off of the coast of the mainland boot, traditions stay alive and preserved for both locals and tourists 1 week every year. Let's check in with Lawrence. Traditions have been something that have been held for years and years, and Italy, of course, is no exception. The Settembrata begins on the 1st of September every year, and it's where the people in Anacapri, the Anacapresi, a remote but greater, much larger part of the island of Capri off the coast of Naples, keeps its traditions with costumes, clothes, food, and show many times to many people, both tourists and the young Anacapresi today, how we keep alive the traditions, from the fishermen's costumes that you see behind me, to how we used to use the sea, to how we currently make a living, and how traditions have evolved. Every year there's a vote, should we keep this tradition? And unanimously the answer always is sí, which means, of course, yes, that we keep the Settembrata. This evening I'd like to show you some of the sights from the Anacapri streets where one night every year traditions stay alive just for you. So you've been seeing some of these traditions that come and go, and one of my favorites is behind me. Not only the costumes that are traditionally Italian, that also may recall very traditionally also Greek costumes, but you'll see the ladies making the wine from their feet. A tradition we don't see too much anymore, going on right now. So it's the week later, and it's still the Settembrata, and it's still the annual harvesting on the part of Capri that is Anacapri. You see everybody follows the lights down the streets, and you buy a ticket. I remember when it used to be free. And you drink and eat and celebrate the grapes of traditions that long ago, long forgotten in other parts of Italy. Reporting to you live from Anacapri, Italy, this is Lawrence for the Good Grapevine. Peace out. I don't know about you, but I love my carbohydrates, so when I see that story from Italy, I am happy that in addition to carbohydrates, but because of carbohydrates, the tradition of grape harvesting and music and clothes and children at play stay alive, if nothing more than for 1 week a year in Anacapri, on Capri, off of Italy. Now the next story is just as inspirational, but a completely different turn of events for our last story of this edition of The Good Grapevine. Let's check in. Hey, the Good Grapevine viewers, this is Lawrence coming to you from Bryant Park around the holidays in December of 2015. And what's wonderful about the holidays is the magic of Christmas and the truth of Santa Claus. So spoiler alert, if you're a child and want to hear the truth of Santa Claus with your parents, call them around and let's check this out. On a very professional and personal note, this year brought me many blessings. One of those amazing blessings is meeting my friend Elizabeth Sinnott. And I will give you her contact details on social media. In one amazing way, she helped me fulfill a lifelong dream. But more recently as mom, having a very interesting conversation with her 11-year-old Connor about Santa Claus. Can you share that with us, please?
I would love to, thank you. So it was a few weeks ago, and he'd been asking me the question about Santa. Do you believe in Santa? And I said I believe in the magic. And then he came out and just asked me, tell me, do I believe in Santa Claus? Tell me the truth. So I told him the truth. I said Santa Claus was me and Dad, and that it's the spirit of Christmas and it's the magic and all of that rolled into one. Took him home. We had been on a walk. I took him home on the couch. He sitting there and he's crying, and I said, you know, Santa is a lot of different things. Santa is what's in your heart, and I'm doing for you what my parents did for me, what I'm doing for you, and what you're going to do for your children one day. And I explained to him, it was just after the Paris attacks, and I said to him, in this world that is so harsh, so sad, that if I give you one thing, it's the knowledge that you can believe in something. And having that belief in your heart and knowing that there's good in the world, and that you can believe that there's good and that there's joy, then I've given you something that you can take with you and you can carry on. And I ended with saying, you know, you've now graduated. You are a Santa. You are in this wonderful grown-up position to continue the joy and to be your own Santa and give back and give other children that joy of believing.
The big secret of grown-up.
The big secret. You are in a very big secret club, which is awesome. And he seemed to enjoy that role, and he seemed to love the idea that it wasn't I didn't deceive him, but I've actually given a gift that he can now pass on and share with his cousins and as he grows up with his children.
And the story doesn't end there, because later, as children often do,
Yes.
thinking and processing, he came up, sat on your bed, and said,
Mom, I have another question. I'm guessing that the Tooth Fairy and the Easter Bunny aren't real. And I just looked at him and I said, it's a tough day, Connor. It's a tough day. He goes, yeah, I thought so. Thanks.
Thank you for sharing that story with us. It's a wonderful way to say you're now in the big grown-up club of the worldwide best-kept secret, and Santa is real. It's what we give every single day.
Every day.
Thanks for sharing that, Elizabeth Sinnott.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on this edition, the debut pilot of The Good Grapevine. All the news that's fit to share. Please share with us the stories that you find inspirational, educational, or motivational, and we'll have one of our Good Grapevine reporters cover that story for you. If, alternatively, you would wish to be the reporter to bring us a Good Grapevine story, email us, and we'll tell you how you can do that and what you get in exchange, which is quite a nice surprise bundle of gifts. Remember, please subscribe to this YouTube channel, because if you don't, you won't find out when the next edition of The Good Grapevine is out. Thanks for watching. From Bangkok, Thailand, this is your news desk reporter, Lawrence. Peace out.